This is the 21st season of Bass Talk Live. BTL is presented by Bass Cat Boats, Strike King Lures, AFTCO, Pro Guide Batteries, Spro, Gamakatsu, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, Beatdown Outdoors, and Sunline.
BTL coming at you.
Good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we are going to talk about bass fishing. Recorded show today. We had a great show with Mark Menendez to kick off the week yesterday. I said at the end of that show yesterday, we could have done 5 or 6 different shows all in one. He talked a little bit about Kentucky Lake, used his biology background to talk about the resurgence of the largemouth on that fishery that's coming, with it now being predominantly smallmouth with the Asian carp. We talked a little bit about the new off-limit stuff. We talked about requalification. We talked about the sponsor game. It was really interesting. I thought that was really interesting when we kind of dove. We did about a 20-minute segment on what a Bassmaster magazine cover in the late 90s through that 2007, 2008 period really did for a guy's career. And I mean, it was a big deal back then. Now, just with all of the different media and how fast it moves and how many tournaments there are, I think it's still valuable to be in the old print, the magazine cover that sits there. But it's more like, oh, that's cool. That's going to go on the wall. That's going to show my family that, I accomplished something, but it's not nearly holds the weight that it used to do. Is talked a lot about like contract incentives, how they used to be heavily laden to being in the Bassmaster television show, on the magazine covers, that whole thing. But now, there's a whole new genre. And when I think of the perfect mix of old school and new school, there's one guy that comes to mind, and that is Kyle Welcher. And I think Kyle would agree. Kyle, would you consider yourself the perfect mix of old school and new school bass angler?
I wouldn't say I'm the perfect mix of probably anything at all, but I did grow up in a time. A guy made a YouTube comment on one of my videos one time and said that I'm a tweener. And I always felt like he was I never really thought about it much because, you just living in the day and age that you're in. But he called me a tweener. He said, I'm a tweener. Jacob Wheeler's a tweener. Dustin Connell's a tweener, because we grew up having to qualify without it and then learn how to use all the technology kind of real time, like during after our career had started. So I definitely have tried to mix it up, but definitely not a perfect mix.
I feel like you haven't tried. I feel like you have 100% done a good job, because you were early on the consistent organic YouTube content. Like, I feel like your YouTube content is totally different than like a Brandon Pollinix who bases it around the tournaments. I feel like you have 2 completely separate fan bases. Like you have 3. You have the mix of the people who follow you in the tournaments. You have the mix of the people who enjoy and have enjoyed your journey through the YouTube world, and then the people who just know you as a tournament fisherman.
Right. Yeah.
Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, 100%. And that's kind of the style of YouTube videos that I used to like to watch, was kind of just organic, real people doing real stuff. So that's kind of the way that I always wanted to do mine. I've never wanted to be like over polished, because that's just not real life most of the time. So I definitely think that you have seen that come about more in the fishing industry, but in some other industries that was already pretty popular. Just be kind of, organic and just show what you do every day,
What were did you kind of model it after other industries?
Yeah. So there was some people in the poker space that I used to watch, and they just kind of did stuff very similar to what I did, and they were more successful than I was. And there was one guy, kind of the first poker YouTuber. He was pretty polished. His name was Andrew Nemi. I've actually played poker against him a few times, but he was more polished. And then a guy came out, his name was Brad Owen, and he started just not long before I started
I
YouTube.
watch his stuff.
So I've played with him 4 or 5 times actually, but his is just like not polished at all. You know, it's just like him talking about what he wants to talk about, and he posts whatever he wants, and that's kind of the style that I liked, you know.
And then you basically, so 3 months ago, you like came out with a Why I Quit YouTube. You kind of pulled a Outdoor Boys thing.
So I don't know what he did, but I know who they are.
Yeah, he came out and he's like, "Hey, I'm done. I'm focusing on my kids' stuff. I'm not." And then gave it about 4 or 5 months, and then started coming out with some new stuff recently. And it's just like, dude, like, oh, he's back.
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't know he did that. I didn't know he quit, but I didn't know why. But he went super viral. So you might as well imitate him if you can.
Yeah. We're gonna get into some fishing stuff. One of the things I wanted to hit you with right off the hopper, you're in SEC country.
Yep.
But you're not a huge college football guy, are you?
So this year I have not watched one snap of football. I used to. Whenever I played poker, I watched football a lot more because, when you're playing poker, it's on the TV, constantly. There's always sports on the TV. So I followed it a lot more heavily then.
It's because the degenerates who are playing poker also have money on the game.
I actually used to bet football also a little bit, but they since the last few years, I've just watched it less and less and less. And this year, I've literally watched absolutely nothing. Okay.
I want to bring this up because there's a lot of controversy recently over, the brackets and who's seated where, and they have the deal and it all. And it reminded me, I'm sitting there watching the selection show. Big OU guy, graduated from OU. We get Bama at home again, so we have to try to beat Bama through 3 times in 13 months now. But it reminded me, it tweaked some interest in my head, and I was like, I believe that a long time ago, FLW did a seeded bracket style championship for $500,000. Do you remember any of this, Kyle?
I do not remember this. No.
Oh, this is going to be good. I want your thoughts on this. So they fished the FLW tour through the year, and this was back when you won. This was just prior. This would have been, I think, 2005. So it would have been 2 years before Scott Suggs' $1 million win. Mm-hmm. But it was when the Classic, that would have been the Pittsburgh Classic, and this was their coordination. But it was $500,000. So you fish all year, and then they put you in a 1-day bracket elimination style to get all the way down to win the $500,000 that George Cochran ended up winning. Which to me in fishing I found the video of it is absolutely wild. So like there's the bracket there, like in this, Scott Suggs beat Todd Airy by 1 ounce to move on to the next round. But he had 13-3. Todd Airy had 13-2. They're on the same lake on the same day. But Chip Harrison was up against Steve Kennedy. Chip caught 10-11. So he'd have gone home if he was up against Todd Airy. But he moves on because Kennedy only caught 8-15. And then they continued the bracket style competition all the way through the end. Old school style. There's the net. There's all that. And then Cochran ends up winning the whole thing.
That's cool.
You like that?
So does it tell you who figured out the lake the best and executed the best, like purely that week? Probably not, but anything like that, I think is good for the sport. And as long as you know the rules going in, you can't be mad about it if you participate in it, So, I mean, maybe the guy, Todd Airy, was the second best guy on the lake that week, period. And he got eliminated the first round because he went against the best guy. And that's kind of unfair. But, you know the rules before you go in. So I like the weird stuff in bass fishing. I'm all for it.
Yeah. So Cochran goes 3-7, 6-10, 5-15, 10-3 total weight. He wins the $500,000. So if you go by total overall weight, I mean, it's absolutely insane. You've got actually Rojas would have won with a total of 28-12, but it's based on who you're going up and who you're going.
Right.
But can you really bracket fishermen with all of the independent variables that go on? You get the top 40 something in the season, the top 48 in the season, and then you bracket them at that point. Is that just not more of a crapshoot, Kyle?
I think it is. It's definitely more of a crapshoot, but I think like 5 fish or 3 fish tournaments are more of a crapshoot than 5 fish tournaments. And, like back whenever there was 10 fish tournaments, I think it took more skill to win probably, or a different type of skill to win those. So, I mean, everything has a little bit of variance in it, like for sure has a little bit of variance in it. And whenever you are only up against one guy, like you could technically have like mediocre days and then one good day and win a bracket style tournament, just depending on who you're up against. And you cannot do that if it's not a bracket style tournament. You got to have above average days every single day. So, I mean, it definitely adds a crapshoot element to it for sure. But I mean, that's the stuff that's fun, I think.
The other thing that stuck out to me on this tournament, and we're talking 2005, so we're talking 20 years ago. If you go in and you read this stuff, at the time, this is straight from the article, which I find interesting. He said, I had my limit by 9:00 in the boat. It said he wasn't the only one who knew it either, presumably thanks to the internet and the real-time catches provided by remote knowledge at FLWOutdoors.com. Cochran's fans knew that their man was catching some serious fish. Combine that with the already busy hot weekend days on the lake, and people in boats started showing up in droves on Lake Hamilton to watch as their hometown hero prepared to win the richest tournament in competitive bass fishing history. So this was like the first time that $500,000 was on the line, and they had a real-time update. So you had the locals, because he was a local on Hamilton, that were launching their boats, knew where he was on the lake, knew what he had, and were going out to watch him win it in the final round. 20 years ago.
That it does sound weird, but it was also 2005. That's after Y2K. Like it was 20 years ago, but it was still, it wasn't like the old days. 2005 was kind of modern. I get it, but it does seem like. I mean, that was probably the first time that happened, though, right? Like the first time.
It was a one and done. It was a one and done, Kyle. They did the bracket to 1 year, gave out the $500,000, and I think everybody was like, "Yeah, no, we're not putting our faith in the bracket."
Yeah. Well, didn't Bass do something like that where they had like 6 sections on a lake or 10?
Yeah, they did that. They did that. So, it wasn't was it the E50s, or was it, they did that one where they did the boat racing and then the whole course, and then they had like where it counted, where they did the whole course where you would fish like for 2 hours in each whole course and stuff. There's been some pretty wild.
That stuff's cool. Like, I like that kind of stuff. Like, I don't see any problem with it at all. I think we need more of that, even if it's not, to decide who wins an Elite Series tournament or a classic. Like, that's the great stuff Bassmaster could do and turn into just straight YouTube content,
Mm-hmm. Do you think that the best shot to generate interest is to do wild stuff like that? Like we see MLF that tweaks their format and stuff like this, but like, do you think if they did come out with bracket styles, whole courses, that type of thing, where it would be more, I guess, fan interaction in today's day and age with the social media, with everything there is, that there would be more interest in that than say a regular Elite Series tournament or a regular BPT event now?
It might be hard at first because your fan base likes to watch a certain type of thing. But like, if you think about the amount of people that want to know which knot I tie for my bait, that's not that many people, right? Like, you gotta love bass fishing and be hardcore enough to care that there's maybe a better knot. And then you think about the type of, how many people want to watch a topwater explosion? Well, there's all those people who want to know what kind of knot to tie, plus some people who just like to fun fish. And then if you go from there to who wants to see us race our boats? Well, now it's everybody who cares about bass fishing. Plus, so the crazier you get, the more people you can interest that are not as hardcore. So there's definitely a fine line between keeping your like integrity and showing that there is a skill in the sport and that the knowledge pays off, and then also like gaining people's attention and entertaining people. So the more you can, appeal to a broader audience, the better it is for our sport. And, boat racing will probably be pretty cool. Or we could do trolling motor races. Now we got trolling motors run 4 miles an hour. We could do trolling motor races through obstacle courses or something.
Do you think we're headed somewhere that way? Do you think we're headed towards where the organizations are going to say, hey, we have to get more eyeballs on this to make it financially feasible, and we'll see some of this stuff that is going to appear to be new, but maybe a little bit more of the past kind of brought into it to add excitement, actually bring new eyeballs? Or do you think we're pretty much on the same course in the foreseeable future as far as top level tournament structure?
It feels like to me we're going to kind of keep the status quo of what's going on. I don't hear any discussions about trying to do anything weird, like the only thing that I hear is maybe trying to go to new places, and like we went to Pasquotank last year, right? And that's a place where there hasn't been a lot of tournaments, but the turnouts were unbelievable. And I heard whenever the BPT went to the Chowan, the turnouts were unbelievable. So, when you go to a new place like that, it does make the locals who are not hardcore bass fishermen kind of start to follow bass fishing because they saw it in their region. But I haven't heard anything that is like new and super fresh or a remake of the old stuff that's weird that's going to happen. But I am 100% all for it. Like, I remember whenever Bassmaster, they did I can't remember who it was, but it was Zona, and people would come to the studio and they would like flip a jig and try to crack an egg and crap. Like, that kind of stuff, dude, is awesome. Like, I think that's what we need. There's no reason to try to over polish the sport and just make it super, super technical. Like, the fun stuff is the fun stuff for a reason.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned the Pasquotank. You pretty much smashed every single record.
That's not why I brought that up. I just brought that up because
I know you didn't, but I want to bring it up because it goes back into the YouTube and how it is today with people watching it and stuff. So like a guy who was able, like, you used to go to fisheries back in the day before all this stuff, and like if a guy was good there, he was good there. And it was good for 3 or 4 freaking tournaments before other guys started to figure out what was going on and kind of matching that. Now in today's day and age, I mean, you were live for 20 hours on that thing. Everyone knows where you were, what you were. Look at Gussie and the classic situations that we've had with that at Elite Series. I mean, you could like pull up just you cracking megas, and that is a monster fishery. Now, if things like this didn't exist, I guess what I've said is, how different is it? You guys are going back to the Pasquotank this year. How different is it in 2025 and 2026 with the field and the coverage and what's going on? Like, are you at a massive disadvantage now because you basically showed everybody, Bassmaster showed everybody, you showed everybody on YouTube, everything, where it's like, hey guys, this is how you got your ass absolutely smoked last year? Like, what are your thoughts on how, if I'm Angler X and I'm going to that fishery in that field, and it's no secret, I mean, you set the record, you didn't even have to fish on the final day. You would have finished in the top 5 after 2 days of fishing. How does that work now, Kyle? I'm genuinely curious. If I'm an Elite Series rookie coming in, or an established guy who ran 80 miles to catch my 12 pounds, but I know that this exists and it's 100% legal, and how does that work at the top level?
I feel like after the tournament stuff kind of resets. First off, I shouldn't say this because we're going back. I should say everybody stay away from where I fish. But we're going there at such a different time of the year. Where we're going there June this time. Yeah. They're going to be postponed. I don't think that area is going to play. I mean, I hope it does, and I hope it plays for me, but I don't think it's going to play. But even better example of that is like St. John's River in the Springs. The first couple of times we went there, like, they played, but then whenever Perspective came out and everybody's in there using Perspective on spawners, like, it's unbelievable how places like that can get as much pressure and still put out like those springs do. But I mean, the first person to go in there was like 3 or 4 boats in there. And then now, whenever a tournament blasts off, there may be 20 in one spring going in there, and everybody's trying to perspective up and tell if it's a tilapia or a bass. And, you know, that's bad, but it's good because for me, I was on live for 3 days and I caught every single bass on a Bronco bug. So it was great for Crust City selling Bronco bugs, and it, you know, added value to me and what I do. So people know like that's the actual bait I was using. There's no line involved, but it does make it harder because it's so much easier to learn now. Whereas like 15 years ago, a pro had some secrets, and it would take a guy that was just fishing years and years and years to figure out how to be efficient in that situation. Whereas now, you know, everybody that loves bass fishing, from college anglers to, you know, guys who fish, you know, weekend warriors, whatever you want to call them, they can learn that stuff real time and super, super fast. So there's no secrets anymore. Like there are no secrets anymore. Everything comes, if you have a secret, you have it for one tournament, literally, because when you got a live camera in your boat for 20 hours, it's not going, like you cannot hide it. There's people on there that if they want to know, they will figure it out, because Jake Latandris does not miss much at all. Like if you're doing something, he's going to put it on live, and that's his job. It's what he should do. So secrets are a thing of the past. But I think one of the things you're asking me is what's the etiquette as far as
like how does that work on the top guys? Like, could you look at a guy and be like, dude, you're clearly here because I was here last year, and then does that guy have a right to say, you're damn right I'm here because you were here last year, I did my homework? Or is that like, how does that work at the top level as far as that kind of give and take?
You know, I really feel like your kind of entitlement to that spot lasts throughout the tournament. Like that's, okay. I don't feel like it lasts for years and years and years, because I mean, if you got a boulder on Champlain that keeps used to keep 19 pounds on it before scope, like it's
now they're swimming.
Yeah, now they're in the middle for whatever reason. It like you can't own that forever, you know, but it does suck to have something sneaky that you really found, you know, that's really, really sneaky that people would not find. And then with the Pascal tank was not that situation at all. What I was doing was not sneaky. But if you did have something sneaky, it does suck to just give it up for the rest of your career if you don't win on it. If you win on it, I mean, you got your worth out of it. You got to feel. But I think that like the springs on St. John's, everybody knows a lot of people are going to go in there. And the first guy, I don't even know who was for sure the first guy to do it, but Corey did it one year. Then Jay Shakurit's done it. Like, they're not more entitled to it than anyone. But if they go in there the first day and they catch them really good and you don't, that's whenever you kind of got to give it to them. I feel like.
Okay. I mean, yeah, there were guys that were going in there when Alton Jones won back in the day.
Yep. I mean,
there's just no live cameras.
Yeah. I mean, that's the difference. Is it's not, you know, getting played every single week for the past 3 years on YouTube.
So I had this discussion with someone else in the industry that said it's you just mentioned it's harder to keep. You get one tournament out of a secret bait, but their opinion was that it has come full circle to where a lot of these younger anglers who are winning a lot of these tournaments, a lot of Toyotas, invitationals, things like that, are more secretive than the old school pros used to be, when there was nothing around and they're literally giving up fish, not catching certain fish, not doing it, or straight up just lying like we used to back in the late 90s and early 2000s, because they understand what that is. And they do have little tricks, particularly with the forward facing, that they're like, okay, I am not letting the cat out of the bag because I still think I can win it on X bait, but you know, I got a camera guy on me, so I'm not going to throw Y bait until that guy leaves. Is that happening?
Right. Yeah, it definitely, but it kind of stops. It has to stop at that Toyota Series Opens level, I believe, because you're not going to be on the BPT, you're not going to be on the Elite Series and win a tournament without showing some stuff on live. Like you're not going to be able to. So 100% BFL level, Toyota Series level. I mean, probably not the Toyota Series Championship, but you can definitely, keep some secrets at that level, but at the top level, it'd be very, very difficult to do it. And I mean, I've been on live before and not thrown a bait because I was in 7th place or 8th place or something. I had a bait that kind of got me to the top 10, and I've not thrown a bait much because I had a camera and I knew that I probably couldn't win the tournament. So, I've done that, but you're not going to win and keep any secrets. I just don't believe it.
So you got guys that are making a conscious decision that are like, I'm burning this technique. I'm burning this bait. It's worth the classic. It's worth $100,000. It's worth the chance to win. And we'll just deal with the fact that it won't just be 3 or 4 of us that are using it anymore. And now it'll kind of become mainstream instantly overnight.
Look, here's the problem. What if you've got a bait and you're in 3rd place and you think you might could win, you might not, and you don't throw it. And then the next tournament, somebody else wins on that bait and it wasn't even you. Like, that's worst case scenario, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of gotta you gotta do whatever you can to win in the moment. And I mean, you can't. Someone watching you on live, they know what bait you're throwing, they know where you're throwing it, but there's a lot of information there that's not retained by the viewer unless you really, really explain things. Like Zaldane does a really good job explaining everything he's doing while he's catching fish, all that, while he's on live. He in the back, he is not trying to keep any secrets at all. Like for sure, not at all. And I respect that. But there could be a few little subtle things that you're doing that aren't portrayed through the camera, and that can be a difference maker that makes someone else a lot less efficient than you. So you can show the bait and where you're fishing, and someone can't just go there and catch them instantly. Like there's still a little bit of a learning curve to what you're doing. So I don't think there's a lot of value to be really secretive. And I also don't really care that much about showing the bait I'm using. Like that's why I'm throwing the bait and where I'm throwing it and how I'm throwing it, to me, is way more important than the actual bait. Like I knew that Bronco bug when I first started using it was special, like really, really special. But, like there's a whole system there that it works in,
And you're giving us the basics, but minute details are more important than ever as you have more and more anglers that are targeting the biggest population of the biggest fish on the lakes.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the biggest thing is if you're throwing at the biggest population of big fish on the lake, you're going to do better in tournaments than some guy who's not. Like, it doesn't matter what you're throwing.
Are there baits and techniques that you are aware of, right? I don't want you to say them. I'm just curious that you're aware of that over the next 12 months will be exposed or will become popular that right now are being gatekept, where there's not that many guys that are doing it, but it's coming and it'll be the next big thing. I mean, we've seen it. It seems every year you're going, son of a bitch, they'll eat that. And it went for like 8 or 9 years where it would be like every 3 or 4 years, like an Alabama rig or a whopper plopper or a chatterbait. But those were kind of spread out and then boom, they won it. Well, now it seems like every year there's 3 hot trends or 3 baits that we've never seen. I mean, it went from every 3 years to every 3 months. Yeah. Is that trend going to continue too, where it's more and bigger and crazier or smaller and different? And we're going to see that in 26 across all of the platforms?
I don't know any baits off the top of my head right now that have not been shown on live yet in some capacity that are, super special. I do know some that have been shown on live that are not really mainstream yet, even though they've, the hardcore guys have recognized what they are and stuff. But I mean, the trend's definitely going to continue because these fish are getting so much pressure so fast now. Because I mean, you see a 5-pounder floating around and he won't bite. Before you leave that fish, you've done made 18 casts to him with 6 different baits. So you've educated him 18 different times with 6 different profiles. So, like the fish are getting smarter at an alarming rate. So there has to be trends of different baits that trigger them. And what you're seeing now is like whenever minnow was first started using it for scope, everybody was throwing a 3-4 inch minnow and catching these big ones all over the place. And then we had to throw big minnows and then we had to change profiles and stuff. And now everything has become situational. Like now there's not you don't just take a freeloader and just that's the only bait you're going to throw all year to fish, that are floating or out in the middle or on brush or whatever you're going to do. Like everything is situational now. And that comes because the fish are getting so much pressure that they're a lot more picky. So the conditions have to align now for any bait to be as special as they were when they first came out.
Can I show you a bait that I have never thrown that I don't know? I mean, I don't want to like give anything up, but I've got this bait that I feel like is going to be absolutely bonkers, and it's insane. Like I don't want to give away anything. Can you see it down there in the bottom?
No, I don't see it. I feel like I'm sure that it's the Iron Man bait from Japan, though.
No, it's available like in the tackle stores. Can should I show it or should I just?
Well, I mean, live's ruined enough already. Might as well ruin another one.
Okay, what do you? This 18-inch G-Crazy G-Crack worm?
Okay, I've seen that, yeah.
Okay, that it's like shaped like the horseshoe on it, and then it like curls up, and guys are like using it like Nico rigging it and stuff.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm very curious on that thing. Like to me, that's like, whoa, that could be like the next thing.
Yeah, I mean, it could be that spotted bass though. I feel like you're going to struggle catching spotted bass on that thing.
It's 18 inches long.
Yeah, it's a little much.
It's a huge worm, but it's very, like that. That's the type of stuff that intrigues me. That like it would never even cross my damn mind.
How big is a man's jelly worm? Is that like a man's jelly worm's like 12 inches or 14?
The jelly worm's 13 inches long. 13. But this thing's 18, but 18. It's like the diameter of a trick worm, or of like it's the diameter of like a robo worm. Yeah, I saw Alton Jr. had that title on it. One tournament, he was taking a picture with it or something. Because that's the other thing, like for me, like, okay, so what I have never done in my life, and I just bought 2 packs of them, are the free rig. I was like, oh, that's cute. And then literally no one, like literally it is now in the end of 2025 going into 2026. You were born in the 20s if you're freaking Texas rigging anything. It's free rig or don't even freaking show up to the lake. So I got an interesting story on the free rig. Back whenever I first started YouTube and we had just moved to Cleveland, Tennessee, I was going fishing off the bank in an old Cadillac, and I hadn't even moved my boat up there yet or nothing. I was just fishing up there off the bank, and I had a Texas rig, and I was fishing off the bank, and I broke it off. I went to a local tackle shop in a convenience store, and they had one of those lead weights with the brass eye on it, like the OG free rig. And I put it on and tied a hook on there and went and free rigged. Like, I had never seen this technique. Never. I just put it on over my thing and I threw it out there, and I caught like 4 bass on it fishing off the bank on Chickamauga. And this was probably 2018, the fall of 2018. I have a YouTube video on YouTube right now with me free rigging in 2018 by accident. It just doesn't. I think I was so far behind on it, but I've got so many guys that are like, hey, like, it's magic. Yeah. I mean, I don't play with it as much as I should. Like, granted, I probably should experiment with it a little more, but I mean, I've caught them on it, but I've never felt like it was that much better than a Texas rig. I just don't see how it could be, honestly. That's what I thought, but who knows? We're going to take a break. When we come back, one of the things that piqued my eye when you made your triumphant return to YouTube are the last 2 videos you put out. You put what you did. You have a live scope versus no live scope challenge where you took a buddy who's got a badass tin rig. And I mean, it is the ultimate fish catching tin rig. And you've got your Elite Series rig with all of it. You hopped in his boat. He hopped in your boat, and you had a little derby. Yep. And then you've got another one where you said Chat GPT fishing challenge, where you literally did the AI thing that tells you what to throw and where to throw it, and you went out and you followed it to the T. And when I asked you to come on, I think there's some very interesting things that you can glean from these videos. You called them your quote silly little videos. in the text, but I think there's some deeper meaning behind those videos that I'd like to dive into if you're up for it.
Yeah, we can get into it.
All right, it is Kyle Welcher on a Tuesday. BTO. We'll be back right after this.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
Before there were hashtags, there were handshakes and shared stories. They gave us confidence to make our first cast and chase our dreams. They taught us to fish, and in the process, taught us about life. They taught us that success isn't just about reaching the top. It's about lifting others up. The future isn't just about selling tackle. It's about 3 simple words. Let's go fishing. Here's to the original influencers.
As a professional angler, there's only one thing that connects you to your paycheck. Probably the most crucial part to tournament bass fishing. I use Sunline because they have a line for every application. Shooter, FX2, All Might, super light line, big stuff, big sticks. Sunline has you covered.
Sharp as can be. Super strong, super durable.
Really good penetration.
Thinner and stronger.
Catch fish after fish.
I want to make sure that I'm using the best stuff possible.
World's finest hook. World's finest hook.
Gamakatsu, world's finest hook.
Welcome back, BTL. Clearly in that video, they did not know about the power of the free rig because I saw multiple Texas rigged plastics.
They were all born in the
20s. Chat with Kyle Welcher here. All right, let's get into these two videos here. I thought that it was very telling, the live scope versus no live scope challenge with your buddy, who, I mean, he's got his channel. He clearly fishes. He knows how to catch fish and all that stuff. But what I thought was interesting, well, first of all, how did you come up with that concept? What made you think about, hey, you get in my boat, I'll get in your boat, I'll fish old school, you can have carte blanche, go scope them up?
So I don't know if you saw the video I did like in 2023. That was similar to that with my buddy on the boat ramp and had his stuff strode out. And that was kind of the time whenever we thought of it. And it basically, at that point in time, the live scope hate has kind of changed a little bit now, because at that point in time, people thought that it was very, very easy to catch them with live scope in like 2023. So we wanted to highlight that video, highlight that it's not easy to catch them with scope. Like, it's definitely not. And it's situational. So I thought it would be funny because the people online act like anybody could literally get in my boat and go catch like 20 pounds. And it's 100% not like that. Like, I know it's not like that. I feel like a person who has never scoped has almost no shot of winning a challenge.
Oh, your buddy would have had a shot to beat you if he had just pretended like the scope wasn't on the boat.
100%. Yeah, like, for sure. Because if you've never done it, there's a huge, like, you're going to do worse at first whenever you first get scoped. So it's not a legit challenge, like, at all. Like, he was extremely disadvantaged. It was just for the video, you know? So it just,
but it proved the point, Kyle.
Yeah, well, yeah. And I'll be honest with you. Mitchell is a good buddy of mine. I've known him since we were like 14, 15 years old, fishing tournaments against each other. He's a really, really good fisherman, like, really good. He plays it up more on camera that he's worse than he is. Like, he's actually really good. He's won a bunch of tournaments, but he's never had live scope. Like, I knew going into it that he was at a disadvantage, and there was fish to be caught scoping, but it just, there's a whole system to it. It's not easy. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I remember in 2022 and 2023, how many people thought that if they just got in a bass boat with scope, they were just going to smash them like it was magic. And we just kind of wanted to highlight that it's not like that. And, but yeah, if we would have changed the challenge and he would have been in his boat and I would have been in mine, it would have been a lot more fair, like a lot more fair of a challenge, but I just think that kind of stuff is fun to do. And we just don't take it that serious, like if I would have lost, oh, well, he had scope. I could have blamed it on scope.
Yeah.
And since he lost, he gets to blame it on scope. You always just blame everything on scope. So, I mean, the biggest thing was just two buddies getting out there and, having a good time and a little bit of banter. Like, that's the cool stuff, is us talking junk to each other. That's the fun.
No, I thought it was a very interesting video, almost as interesting as the one that you came out with a couple weeks ago, the Chat GPT fishing challenge, which there's been a number of guys that have kind of done stuff like this. But when you take a multiple time angler of the year, Elite Series winner, classic qualifier, like, I think it's a little different because of I don't want to say because of the credentials that you bring to the table, right? Like, you're one of the top anglers in the world and you're taking, I won't give it away, but you basically said, hey, here's where I'm going. Here's what the lake is. Here's the conditions. What do I need to do? And it laid out a game plan for you that you then followed to the T. And there was some stuff in there that I thought was like, well, okay, yeah, you're always going to catch something on that. Like, that's a 12 months out of the year. But like, there was some genuine stuff in that video that I think surprised you and you didn't know what to think about, that you wouldn't have done had it not been for Chat GPT and AI.
Yeah, 100%. I wouldn't even have fished that way. And another thing that I did in that challenge was I did not run like my normal juice on that lake. Like, I literally just went and put the trolling motor down and just went down the bank using the baits that it told me to use. So I like the water was really clear, and I just don't lean towards a spinnerbait in that color water, like, ever. Like, unless it's super, super windy and you're fishing for a lot of spots, I don't really lean towards throwing a spinnerbait in really clear water. But I mean, that was one bait that it told me to throw that I was pretty shocked at. And then they were biting it, like they were actually eating it. And I like, that's what shocked me the most, is I was like, dude, this sucker was right. But it was every single bait that, they said. I caught a fish on every bait that it laid out. The hardest one to me was the jerkbait, which I had been catching them on that lake on a jerkbait prior to that, but I was running juice, so like it was, but so it was really hard to just catch them on a jerkbait going down the bank for me. Like, and if this was pre-scope and I had never seen throwing a jerkbait on scope, it would have been way easier to catch one on a jerkbait going down the bank.
Do you think it would have recommended? Oh, it would have been way easier.
Yeah, but because now, since I've thrown a jerkbait so much on live scope, it's so hard to throw it down the bank. And
because you know what's not on the bank.
Yeah. It's so hard to just like go down. But that lake doesn't set up great for scope. But I could have caught fish on it. But.
Your opinion. Is this going to become an issue at the top level of professional bass fishing, where you see in the next 3 years a guy who says, I won the tournament because that's what ChatGPT told me to do?
I don't know if I don't think it's allowed in our tournaments. I don't think we can use apps that you have to pay for in our tournament. So you don't have to pay for ChatGPT. I never had ChatGPT. I watched your damn video and downloaded ChatGPT for free. Well, I still don't have it. My wife has it on her phone, but that's, it's definitely possible. And I think it's so Icon has Starlink now, right? Like, you can order a Starlink on the back of Icon now, which is, I mean, awesome and weird, but it's 2026. So like, 2026 model boats. I mean, it kind of makes sense, but I mean, there's no reason why a Humminbird Apex or, the big Garmin's that are, got so much technology in them. There's no reason why you can't have internet to them now with a Starlink and literally real time I mean, it could give you updates on the water. Like 100%, there's going to be a way in a few years, or maybe not a few years. Maybe there's a way right now to have internet to your graphs and it keep up real time with the conditions. Hey, you're on Sabine River. The tide is going to be down in 30 minutes. Like, you better be fishing this kind of stuff for the next 20 minutes. Like, that's definitely possible. 100% possible. Anybody who says it's not possible is I like just got to be wrong. Like, it's definitely possible. And I mean, literally, it could tell you that the wind's going to start blowing on this region of the lake, you know, or anything.
Have you ever heard of the Deep Dive app, Kyle?
Yeah, I've heard of it for sure. Yeah.
It does that.
Yeah, it tells you the wind, the direction.
It tells you the rain, the predictive, how big the waves are going to be, what sections of the bank it's going to hit, the hardest, what the water clarity is, where it's hitting.
I need to download. Yeah. I've never played with that app. I probably should. I probably should download it and just play. I
saw Justin Lucas on it last week.
Yeah, I mean I've seen it because I watch some fishing YouTube videos, so I've seen people promote it on their YouTube videos. You know, so like it's definitely possible. But imagine if that's on your front graph.
Yeah, on your graph. What are your thoughts on that? Good, bad, indifferent, change with the times, needs to be limited.
I think it's just like scope, right? If you're the one using it, it's good. You know, like that's how it is. And at the highest level of tournaments, you know, Bassmaster used to try to challenge the anglers. That's why we can't use nets now. That's why there was a Pittsburgh Classic. Like that's why they put people in golf course brackets or whatever it was.
Can't troll.
Course bracket. Yeah, you can't troll.
No live bait.
No A-rigs, you know, no long lining. You can't even reverse your trolling motor to extend your cast like 1 foot. Like it's that there's things put in place to challenge the anglers and kind of make them be, you know, the best anglers in the world for a reason. And I like that. Like, I do think that it should be kind of hard to do it. Like if it's easy, it's just not worth doing, in my opinion. So, I mean, not that scope is easy. I'm just saying that as all this stuff comes together and there's more and more technology.
Randy Blockett, record, clip, post.
Yeah. So
you have to send him another email requesting that he at least put the link to the damn show in.
For sure. That's what
continue.
The beautiful part of bass fishing is the decision-making process. And that's the interesting, and that is the only part of the sport that gives me any kind of anxiousness or, you know, anxiety or nervousness is the decision. Like, I have no nerves going into day 2 of any tournament ever because I have anxiousness going into day 1 because of 3 days of practice and which decision I'm going to make and what I'm going to go with and how am I going to start my tournament. And then where I'm going to go from there. And I usually don't plan it out. I just plan out where I want to start at. And then I kind of adjust on the fly a lot. And the more and more you take that away, the less this becomes an art form and the more it becomes like more of an analytics thing, you know? And I'm a very analytical person naturally, but there's something beautiful about somebody just getting that vibe on the water and running with it. You know, like that's the stuff that you like seeing as a guy that like there's been tournaments before where it's 11 o'clock and I catch my second fish and I'm like about to smash them. I'm about to smash them because you just know, like everything just comes together in that moment. Everything just clicks and then you know what to run with. And the more your decisions are premeditated and kind of done for you, the less decision making you do. I feel like the worse, you know, like the less fun it is to watch and the kind of less mesmerizing it is.
It is the biggest issue, discussion topic, talking point in our sport where that line is.
It is, and it's changing. So I 100% believe that. So whatever Patrick won Lake Fork, in my recollection, that's the first tournament I really remember with largemouth being just crushed on scope.
Where everybody went.
Yeah, but we thought it was situational. You know, like before that, it was kind of a smallmouth deal. The 34 had just came out. The active target, I mean, it was good. The 34, I mean, the 32 transducer was good, but not like this. if we would have knew where it was going to go, if the tournament organizations would have known where it was going to go, then I think they would have, done something about it. So the line has moved, and I can't say that from nobody's told me that. That's just my opinion. If we knew it was going to do this, but you just don't want to take away that decision-making process from the anglers.
But I'm talking about the line even back when they came out with 1 foot contours. When I'm above the bridge on Toledo Bend and Harold Allen is dog cussing some guy out in the middle of a timber field because he's fishing an Elite Series tournament on a hump that had never been on a map before, and Harold had been fishing it because he found it dragging a freaking Carolina rig, and the fish had come up schooling in 1981 out there, and he uses that freaking tree and triangulates that, and he's sitting there going, that guy has no skill. He saw there was a hump out there, he drove out there and he caught it, and I fished this alone for 20 years. Or the guy on Kentucky Lake who drug a window weight around for 15 years to where he could find the shell bed that was on the side and had it to himself. And then some guy idles down and knows that it's 80 foot to the left because now they're side imaging out there. You see what I'm saying? Like, where is that line? How does it keep moving? Like, is there a correct answer? Like back then there was discussions about that. But then you had the big money come in to where this thing, the Hydrowave, that I've got there, you had everybody saying, my God, you turn this on, it calls fish to the boat. You had Kevin and Gerald and all the guys on that. There was no one going, hey man, like, what the hell? Now you're calling them in?
So
like, you see what I'm saying about the line? Like, that's the biggest thing in my mind is covering the sport and fishing at the opens level. Like, how do you wrap your head around it?
You almost can't say that there's a line that's perfect, like, because there's not, because mapping is probably as important or really, really close to as important as live scope for, people finding fish on these lakes. But how dangerous would it be to ride around some of these lakes without mapping? Like, it would be, extremely dangerous. And
that's what Harold said. He'd be out there. He'd go, Matthew, you have no idea how to get back to the boat ramp if something happened to me. And I'd be like, not without that thing. He goes, turn that thing off. Which way's the ramp? Well, hell, I don't know, Harold. I've got that thing. Well, what if that thing goes out? Hell, I got it on my phone.
I mean, anyway, I feel like there's a normal trend where it has to go. It has to go, it has to improve, and there has to be, there's things that are going to make it easier for people to find stuff. And that's normal. That's how it is in everything, like fishing is the industry that we all love and we're all, super invested in, but the same exact things happening in everything right now, like every sport is having the same exact technology increases.
This was Navionics 11 years ago.
And people were so pissed about that. They're like, it shows everything.
That's a HDS Gen 1 10, 11 years ago from Lorraine saying, look at this.
Yep. Now, if you put that on your boat, everybody would be like, what are you using?
Is it? I think it's interesting stuff to talk about.
It is. And there's not a correct answer to any of it. Like there's definitely not.
I'm trying to pull up something that's like recent now just to compare to that. But I mean, like the 3D imaging and contours with the 1 foot lines and all that stuff is wild.
Yeah.
Here, like compare that to that.
Yeah. I mean, it's night and day different, but I mean, that makes it so much easier though when you're traveling somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, I know that that's the ocean, but I believe so. Yeah. Cause that's 2,340. That's someone is definitely sword fishing there, but you can do the same exact thing.
Yep.
On this. I would like to get your opinion before I let you go, or your thought process. You made a lot of money in the National Professional Fishing League. You're having Angler of the Year. You won 1 point. What, you 1 point short of back-to-back Angler of the Years on the NPFL? Yeah. How many did you win?
I didn't win any. I've not won an NPFL.
I did not know that.
everybody is shocked by that. I've had like 4 seconds, or I've had 2 or 3. I've had at least 3 seconds, I think, and like 3/3, and I have not won one. I've been a bite away a bunch to win those things, and it just hasn't happened.
That's the Mandela effect, hardcore, dude. Like you're Mandela affecting big time,
dude. Everybody says that. Like everybody.
That's what the Mandela effect is.
Yeah,
where everyone like can literally picture you winning NPFL events, and you haven't won one.
I wish I could Mandela reverse effect and put some trophies in there, but I can't. So I've just been the perennial loser a lot. It seems like.
No, but it seemed to fit your style. When the list came out this year, I thought it was very interesting. There's 48 current former Elite Series BPT pros on it, 3 past Classic champs for 7 Classics, 5 FLW, and MLF champions, Rick Clun, all sorts. I mean, it is the trendy thing to do is jump on it, and you did not have your name on that list for 2026.
Yeah, that it actually hurt a lot not to fish it. I enjoy those tournaments so much, and I love all the people there. You know, like I've gotten to know so many of them. I mean, from the guys who are volunteering there in the morning, you know, I talk to them like every day, to Brad and Al and Paul, and I mean, I know all those guys. I mean, talk to them on the phone regularly, and I hated to not fish it, but so. It's just so much travel. And this year, like, we had to drive from Okeechobee to Santee, and I think I missed a day of practice. And then I had to drive from Sabine, and me and Patrick Walters both top 10 Sabine, and had to drive straight from Sabine to Norman. Got 1 day of practice there because, you know, of fishing, and then went to 10 Killer. I top 10'd it. So then I had to miss a day and a half of practice going to whatever the other one was, Eufaula. So it was just a lot of travel. And it became to where this year I was really dreading the driving. And I hate driving right now more than I ever have in my entire life. Like, I don't even want to drive like 20 minutes to go to a restaurant.
You got the sciatic nerve thing yet? Are you old enough for the sciatic nerve to start acting up?
No, I don't have that yet.
Oh, just wait.
Well, I need to quit driving then, sounds like. But it just so much travel. But those are such fun tournaments to fish. Like, so I think it was my first NPFL I ever fished. We're sitting there, and we got a fog delay, right? And we're sitting there for like an hour. And then finally they're like, all right, we're about to blast off. We're adding an hour to everybody's check-in time. And I'm like, hey, this is awesome. Like, I love this. Like I'm all for the weird stuff. Like that, to me, that was just awesome. We got to fish in January until the evening. Like, that's the best bite, you know? So like that was the first NPFL I ever fished, and I was like, that's cool. So I've had a lot of fun fishing them, and I love fishing them. And the schedules have lined up. I mean, just on paper, the schedules may not have looked great for me, but then whenever you get to the lake, and we got to Douglas, and it's just like June, but it's flooded, and it's like, or May or whenever it was there, and then it's just like I'm looking at it all year, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to catch them off the bank, you know, Tennessee River ledge fishing without scope now, which I'm terrible at without scope, and we get there and it's just flooded and in the bushes, and end up having a good tournament. So like, just everything kept working out in every single one of those tournaments to just be just perfect for how I wanted to fish when we got there. And I hated to not fish whenever everything was just clicking and going really, really well. But I got a 2-year-old son now, and I just didn't want to travel that much. It'd be completely different if all those tournaments were in the fall. It'd be a no-brainer just fishing, you know. But they're just, all the tournaments are right in the heart of spring, and it's just a lot. It's just so much traveling, like too much traveling.
I have one more question for you. What is the smartest risk that you have ever taken in your career?
No, that's a no-brainer. It's running down St. Lawrence River. I mean, that is the smartest risk, but it's 100 miles, so it's a risk, you know. So you just, and it's burned me. It burned me once bad, but other than that, it's been the smart. I mean, now whenever you look at it on paper, it's not a risk at all, you know. But the first time I did it, there wasn't that many people going, you know, and that is the smartest risk in bass fishing, is running 90 miles down that river.
pulled up ChatGPT and I said, I'm interviewing Kyle Welcher. What's the best question I can ask him? And that's what it told me to ask you.
Oh, really? I'm risky.
It's scary, man. It's terrifying, but also exciting and also confusing. But any big changes for 26 coming up, or?
No, the biggest change for 26 compared to like 25 is I'm gonna do a lot more. I'm planning to do a lot more YouTube stuff because I'll be home a lot more.
Yeah,
and I could do a lot more. I'd just be a lot more involved in some social media stuff. So that's the biggest change is going to be a lot more heavily involved in social media. Also, people left comments on my YouTube video of like 3 or 4 different AI type softwares that they said were better than ChatGPT. So if you want me to, I'll look through there and I'll
apparently ChatGPT is like the Facebook of softwares now.
Is that good or bad?
Well, it's like the OG, but it's like what the common man uses, and then there's
I think there was one called Grok or something. Somebody left me a comment on. There was a few different ones, and
I'm 3 days into my ChatGPT journey, and I may be very short after that.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I appreciate the time. Like I said, I know very valuable time in the off season, home with the family, with the 2-year-old, getting things ready before the holiday season for you to jump on and spend an hour. I can't thank you enough. And I thought it was a very candid, it was a very interesting interview. So you're the man, Kyle.
All right. I appreciate it. See you.
All right. See ya. The one and only Kyle Welcher. We will take a break and be back right after this.
I fish in some of the worst elements across the country. Spring. That's a giant, dude. Summer. Oh my gosh. Hi. Look at that thing. Winter. It's so cold. And fall. Got it. Big one. That's awesome.
Being comfortable and staying dry is the only option.
AFCO. Any fish, any water.
At Beat Down Outdoors, we know you depend on your gear to hold up in any condition. We built for that. We test for that. In fact, we pride ourselves in that. Because we know when the time comes to test your gear, you aren't going to take it easy, so we won't. We build premium, made in the USA products that you can rely on in the moments when your equipment should be the last thing on your mind.
Hey guys, Brian Schmidt here with Spro. I'm going to talk to you about the confidence I have in the equipment I use. You know, I have a charter boat business back home in Maryland. We fish for saltwater fish, and I also fish the Bassmasters Elite Series. So I keep my lights on by fishing. I have to have a lot of confidence in the equipment I use. Spro has me covered from head to toe, saltwater, freshwater, everything in between. A lot of high-end quality product. Spro has you covered.
All right, welcome back. Wrapping things up here on a Tuesday BTL. Stay tuned to YouTube. If you're not subscribed, you can subscribe, turn the notifications on, and then we go live. We should be going live like Wednesday night. We have a recorded show, Frank, on Thursday, but then also Thursday, Friday, probably do a couple live shows from Pro Bass Adventure. So turn on those notifications as we wrap that up, and then we'll be back in studio for the week of that 15th through 20th. That's all we got for today. Appreciate it. Big shout out to Kyle Welcher, one of the top guys in the sport, one of the most analytical minds in the sport, one of the most talented anglers in the sport. So this has been another edition of BTL Bass Talk Live. We'll talk to everyone later. See ya.